All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the late show. We are a little later than usual tonight, and I have been trying to start at my 5 p.m. at in Los Angeles as your host, Young Brando. But tonight is a late night. Perhaps I should have called it the Late Late Show, but I didn't want to go out tonight without doing an overview, doing a review of what is going to come at GPHG, of which the award ceremony is tomorrow. So we are going to take a look at the nominated watches. I'm going to share my favorites. I'd love to hear about your favorites as well, whether that is in the chat or by you joining the panel. It will be amazing. The link is there. We also have a goal of 10 super chats in the first hour of an amount $5 or higher. If that goal is reached, I will just go until midnight for pure watch talk, whatever else you like. Any subject is, of course, welcome. Let me set this right as well. I shouldn't have worn these tight pants because my balls are getting crunched. But anyway, Alireza says, looking sharp, I'll have to watch the replay. I can't hear shit in this airport. Well, at least you're traveling, huh? That's good to hear, Ali, and it's always lovely to have you in the chat or on the panel, whatever you wish. It's always fantastic. I'm going to just pull up the list of the nominees. I have already given away one of my personal favorites. I think as we go through the different categories, I will both offer what I think is my favorite watch and also talk about who else might win, or who might actually win, I should say. That, of course, necessitates already that we talk a little bit about the politics, so to speak, between the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève, between the grand prizes of horology that are held every year in Geneva. First thing you will note, of course, when you sort through the list of the nominees is that not all brands actually participate. You will see, for example, that the Swatch Group is markedly absent. Richemont Group participates, but not with all its brands. So you won't see any Lange, you won't see any Cartier, you will see some IWC. In the previous category of clocks and automata, I'm blanking out on the name that they had for it. You would see some beautiful stuff by Van Cleef and Arpels. You don't have that category now, so they would be absent as well. And of course, all of these watches actually go through an initial process of a long list, shall we say, what they call in their lingo entries, which are then whittled down to about half a dozen pieces in each category. The categories for this year are ladies complication, time only, men's complication, iconic, tourbillon, which seems to be all the rage again after presumably having had its heyday in early 2000s or in the first decade of the 21st century, we might say, after its revival for the wristwatch era by Daniel Roth via Lemania, via Breguet, but of course, most importantly, the brand that carries his proper name. Mechanical exception, calendar and astronomy, chronograph, sports, and jewelry, as well as artistic crafts. Petite Aiguille, which is actually a great sleeper award, perhaps an award category that we dedicate a lot of attention to, precisely because it's all about affordable watches, watches that don't quite creep into 5 digits in terms of its price, anything below 10,000 Swiss francs at retail. And then there's the challenge category, which I believe are watches that cost less than 3.5 grand in Swiss francs at the point of retail. By the way, we already have a number of super chats and a super sticker, which incidentally doesn't count for whatever reason for YouTube's reckoning when it comes to these chat goals, which is something they should fix. But thank you, Maldives. I guess that's depicting me as a hippo. That goes for the KO. That is the spirit. Juan Pashar, that's Sean, my fellow Angelino. First super chat to start the evening. Cheers, Sean. You're much too kind. Ryan Hoffrey, also $4.99. Some humble YB support. Lots of American and Israeli flags there. We love that. And once again, Sean, respect to Maldives for the first super chat. That's a great recognition. Thank you once again, Sean. And towards the goal with some soccer analogies, C3D now says the late show. It is much too late. And John C says, Mike, the snake has a beautiful Porsche 930. Not sure what that's about, but please hit the like button while you're at it. We went through the categories generally. Let me know in the chat, if you would like me to start by the challenge, which is the most affordable, or perhaps the ladies and ladies complication, so that we perhaps get them out of the way. But that would be a little foolhardy because with the jewelry watches as a separate category, which is where the brands really take gem setting to another level and really focus on pieces that would be worn, with nightgowns on special events, or next time you're invited to someone's coronation or a big Indian wedding or something. A lot of times in ladies and ladies complication categories, you'll find at least one piece, if not a couple, that are quite unisex and that can be worn by just about anybody. And that's certainly the case in this category for the ladies right away. Right? You have Hermes's new watch, Cut, which is an integrated bracelet piece with a multi-layered rounded case. Pretty much taking after perhaps the H28, which was very successful for them. It was practically the first men's watch they managed to sell after decades. The Cut is much more compact. It is a watch that is designed from the scratch as an integrated bracelet watch, even though H08 had a version that came with a full bracelet as well, in addition to many different variations that came in all colors of the rainbow depicted on their rubber straps. But the Cut has been primarily, I think, marketed as a more feminine watch with more fluid lines and towards perhaps the female customer, but I think it can really be worn by anyone. I like the fact that this one, again, comes with a, in terms of the dial, is still quite reminiscent of the H08, comes with a unique font design, and this time that dial is not interrupted by a date window, which is something that I adore, as you guys can imagine. It has a very slender profile, so for an integrated bracelet watch, that really keeps things within the genre, because that's how they were designed initially in the 70s by Gerard Janta, starting with the Royal Oak. Of course, Royal Oak itself carries the elegance of some of those cocktail and bracelet dress watches that are ultra thin and sleek. So Hermès Cut is a great representative of that. I think this is actually the favorite watch to win in the category. It is also my favorite too. So my vote goes there. Feel free to let me know what you think is the best watch. You guys know I've always had a soft spot for Parmigiani Fleurier, which carries on the watchmaking legacy of Michel Parmigiani, even though they operate with Guido Terreni of previously Bulgari fame as their CEO. They, I think, always had a kind of quasi-Italian, almost sartorial approach that they have foregrounded more recently, at least in their advertising. And Tonda PF is their integrated bracelet watch. Again, that would be the second category here. This is the smaller version, the 36 millimeter, which is more compact. It, of course, comes in all sorts of different variations, but the one they entered this category not only has abbreviated hour markers with diamonds, but also brilliant cut diamonds set on the bezel, as well as the lugs of the case, and those actually continue throughout the bracelets and even are used in the background of their medallion logo on the clasp. Sean says the Fabergé dial and numerals seem interesting. We'll take a look at that next. Maldives says, I do like the cut on rubber. Haven't seen it in the metal, but I do like it. The Elegant was first a woman's watch. That's a great point. Of course, Elegant is F.P. Jones's famous quartz-powered piece that is these days one of their most popular and demanded watches, and in an enlarged case size is, in fact, a great man's watch as well. But yes, my second favorite was the Tonda PF automatic. This one, unlike the large size, actually comes with a full rotor movement, not the micro rotor one as well. That's another distinguishing factor. This one is rendered in pink gold, and I think the dial, the subtlety of the dial, and the subtlety of this pattern is one of the most captivating things about the Tonda PF. Truly a great dial for these watches. And once again, I kind of like the fact that in this size, unlike so many other versions in the full-sized version, it doesn't have the date window. That's great. I don't know what they're implying there. When we went through these first two entries, I think theoretically, if the date window is needed by anyone. It should be needed by everyone. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I'm joking, of course, right? You know, it's not like it's sexist to exclude the date window from women's watches, but it's kind of curious for me, right? You know, why do we men have to get this design by committee pieces that have to include a date window for an imaginary customer, where you know, most of who I meet in the collectors community don't have any use for a date whatsoever. The third watch we are looking at, which comes at Sean's suggestion, is the Fabergé Colors of Love Rose Gold Rainbow Gemstone watch. This is an oval piece. Fabergé obviously being primarily famous for their eggs. It fits like a glove for them to have an egg-shaped or an oval-shaped watch. The rainbow, of course, we have just seen the record-breaking original rainbow Daytona, but this is something that has been kind of exploding in the watch world. Men's watches, women's watches have them. Those sorts of gradiated sapphires that adorn the bezels. And here they kind of went with a surrealist design for the numerals, where you just have three of them, a few of them, simply interconnecting with a date window at 6, a guilloche dial, kind of observatory hands, which again follow that egg-like shape. This is a piece seemingly on a rubber band, but I need to double check. Apparently it's actually a smooth leather band in white, which matches the dial. There's some nice coin edging on the flank of the case as well. Not my favorite, but these sorts of oval cases, the more rounded, flowing shapes are actually quite popular in women's watches. Reine de Naples, for example, Breguet's extended woman's line has similar shapes. So I'm sure this will have a lot of favorites. It has price points right around 29,000 in Swiss francs. Quickly to repeat, the Hermes cut costs right under 6,500, and the Parmigiani Tonda PF, that is gem set, is almost $79,000. So it would be a robbery in daylight for Hermes to run away with this category. But once again, right, you know, as the watch community welcomes new collectors, these kinds of luxury pieces that are also relatively affordable obviously find a lot of takers as well. Ryan Hoffrey says the Parmigiani is too effeminate in my opinion. Nice but hard pass. Well, it is in the ladies category. You might say it's not effeminate enough when it's compared to all the other examples. The Chopard Alpine Eagle, this is a 33, so it's the smallest. I'm not sure if it's the smallest, but it's smaller than the two sizes they have that are mostly marketed towards men. Alpine Eagle, of course, is kind of their luxury sports watch, integrated bracelet that takes after their original take on the phenomenon, which was called St. Moritz, after that famous town. I think the dials on these two are spectacular. This one is kind of like a marine blue take on it, or on that eagle's iris motif. Once again, gem set, both for the hour markers, except the Roman numerals at the quarters, and the porthole style bezel, which is set with brilliant diamonds. This doesn't really wow me in any way, even though I'm usually a fan of the Chopard Alpine Eagle. The price point is right around 40,000 in Swiss francs. Moving on to Van Cleef & Arpels, they have a Lady Jour Nuit, which has, again, a lot of brilliant diamonds, both on the bezel and the connecting part of the T-lug that joins the case with the leather strap, starry sky, and a sunrise depicted on the back. I'm trying to make sure that I don't miss any important details about the watch. It's a 33 millimeters in diameter, and the piece actually has a 24-hour rotating disc, which means that dial revolves, and I'm assuming what it depicts on the other end is a more sunny scene. But in either case, this is a beautiful woman's watch belonging to their Poetic Complications collection, 86,500 in Swiss francs. Arnold & Son has a very similar watch, although in a larger and much more conventional round case, Perpetual Moon 38 Night Tide. This piece, again, has, in a way, a secret complication, as it were. Belongs to an 18-piece limited series. That large moon disc actually is a quite precise indicator of moon phases. And the rest of the dial also is finished with ruthenium and mother-of-pearl details. The piece is illuminated by diamonds on the bezel and on the lugs. And it is in white gold. The Arnold & Son Perpetual Moon 38 Night Tide is about 70,000 in Swiss francs. That is about it with our ladies' pieces. Let's change the pace a little bit and go to the challenge category. The challenge category, as I mentioned, is the most affordable, and it is the entry-level luxury watch. I think there are some very interesting examples, some of which actually may itself belong to the homage category, so to speak, and others are quite inventive, yet others, pardon me, that I don't care much about. I really like the Otsuka Lotch number 6. This is a piece, again, that is, in its own way, trying to reimagine the time-telling functions of a watch. It's a stainless steel piece, builds its base on a Japanese Miyota movement. Otsuka Lotch is a Japanese company founded by independent watchmaker Jiro Katayama. The number 6 has a fan-shaped display, an analog display with retrograde hour and minute hands, that are superimposed on each other and rotate on a single axis. There's a seconds disc in the center, and a date. The date displays the window towards the right. I think for those who like retrograde complications and who like watches with perhaps this sort of steampunk vibe, especially with the Japanese characters on the dial that explain or notate the watch's function, it could make that even more interesting. And of course, there are so many people in the watch world who like unique displays of time, from the more conventional jump hour to these retrograde indications, or the kind of wandering hours that has become really, of course, popular with AP, with Uhrwerk, with Moser, and with some others. Here we are, coming back. This piece, by the way, is right around 2,260 in Swiss francs. It is my favorite in this category. Not sure if it will win or not, but I will stay with that. Another favorite of mine, even though again it might in a way kind of find itself within that homage category. I think it looks too much like an Uhrwerk in terms of the case design for its own good. Again, at whatever price point, I'm not a huge fan of watches that so heavily borrow from the design aesthetic of another brand. That being said, it is what it is, and that is a genre that we have. Again, a unique display of time with some added functions as well. By the way, Chalk flew up, found the Otsuka Lotch number 6 novel, which might be a kind way of saying it's not for me, but at least it's interesting. By the way, the Space One brand is a collaboration by a very popular watchmaker these days, Theo Offray, an independent who some years back won F. Piaget's Young Watchmakers competition, if I'm not mistaken, if memory serves. He makes a lot of interesting tourbillons under his own name, but this is a collaboration that he has with Guillaume Lédé, who is the person behind the revival of brands Nevada Gentian and Vulcain. Very futuristic, interesting designs. After the jump hour piece that actually we saw in a special iteration in Jason's collection yesterday. I highly advise that you watch that video, by the way. I was just hoping to watch along this collector's conversation, the collection review video that Swiss Watch Gang did of a great collector. Jason, who also happens to be my friend. I was really not expecting him to actually jump on my live stream, especially after midnight in Switzerland, but he did, and we ended up having an extended 2-hour conversation around the video, around his interests, and around his new venture as well, which was beautiful. So check that out and feel free to, hit the like button on that one. Discover it on the time. Coming back to the Space One piece here that is called Tellurium, that was in a collaboration with a designer by the name Olivier Garniet. By the way, Chalk Flew Up says he actually likes the previous watch that we were looking at. Me too. The Space One piece here is crafted in grade 5 titanium, a sapphire crystal dome serves to highlight almost spaceship-like appearance of the watch. And there's an aventurine dial with titanium planets circling around it. And they serve the purpose of indicating the complication, which has a simple calendar, meaning month and day, in addition to the hours and minutes, and also a tellurium, which indicates the position of the Earth and Moon around the Sun in real time. Very interesting complication. So it's not just a playful watch with a different futuristic space-like aesthetic, but something that puts in offer a different complication, which obviously is not something that similar looking UVAC watches use, right? They don't have a tellurium complication. So if that's interesting or fascinating to you, this might be very appealing. It is powered by the base of a Chopard P024 self-winding movement. That's a Swiss-made movement. All components of the watch are made in Switzerland, with the piece finally assembled in France. This piece will apparently be also made in blue titanium as well as black tian and onyx dial. All pieces will be limited editions, classic edition in 300 pieces. The blue and black titanium ones will be made in 200 each. And for all these things that the watch offers, it is listed right under 3,000 Swiss francs. Reminding you kindly again of our goal for the first hour. There's another 26 minutes left for another 6 chats of $5 amount, 5 or more. If you want this live stream to continue into the midnight. Otherwise, we will take a general look at the categories and call it a night. We are looking at the challenge category. I already went through my 2 favorite watches. I'm a big fan of the Otsuka Lotch number 6, but I favor the Space One Tellurium to win. The Fulamari Disco Verde, their tribute to the 70s cocktail watches. I like it, but not enough to favor it in any strong way. This was probably also one of my least favorite color combinations when it came to this particular watch, when it was released a few months back. Actually, I think it's been a while. It is in the Disco Volante shape, so another space-inspired, you might say, because Disco Volante is actually the Italian word for UFO, taking after that nicely, perfectly round case shape, 38 millimeter case, and also powered by a classic Pesce 7001 movement, hand-wound movement, which keeps this 38 millimeter watch also in sleek proportions as well, worthy of a dress watch. Again, not my favorite color combination. An absolutely horrid strap color, in my opinion, as well. But this is the watch they submitted for this category. This is also a watch that's, of course, under that price point, and specifically at 2,700 in Swiss francs. The Beau Bleu Second Français, again, it kind of dabbles with different dial displays. I have to say, I really love the different sectors and the subtle layers and dimensions of the dial, but abhor the hands they chose for this. I'm pretty sure in movement, the circle that travels around the dial for the seconds can be really interesting. And I wish they combined it perhaps with a more traditional set of hands for the hour and minutes. But here we are. This is the Beau Bleu Second Français, 888 pieces, limited stainless steel, and the price point is even more appealing compared to the other three watches that we looked at so far, and that is right under $1,500, 1,490 Swiss francs, 39 millimeter case that actually has a very pleasing, simple, classic shape, and what looks to be an interesting and decent finish also for the price point. But I'm not a big fan of the time display. The Christopher Ward London C1 moon phase I will pass entirely, because that's like a one-to-one copy of Arnold and Son. A very strange brand, Christopher Ward. They do certain things that are quite inventive and exciting. Other things that just simply rips off another brand, offering it at a very low price point, which is great, I guess, but not something that I think as a collector community that we should really tolerate. I don't know. I've never had this kind of penchant for homage style watches, and an homage of what? Again, right? It's not even an iconic watch. It's just something cute that another brand did, that they're offering without even a unique take on it. Colloquium Project 1, I don't even know what to say. It's probably Projekt. I'm guessing this is a German brand, possibly. I don't know. I've never heard of them before. A hard pass for me. The dial looks to me just, I don't know, too playful. You guys know I'm a terribly serious person. I guess the fact that it has that sort of interesting, luminous appearance might pull certain people in. It's a 99-piece limited series, priced at around 2.7 thousand, 2,700 in Swiss francs. The case design is interesting, with scooped lugs and flanks, with a matte black stainless steel case. Again, not a huge fan of this design. And that covers the challenge category. Again, my favorite is the Otsuka Lotch number 6. And I fully expect the Space One Tellurium to win this category, the challenge category. Coming to Petit Aiguille. Amida is the brand we will pass on this one, the takeoff edition. I think it, again, it looks like something that other brands did many times and more popularly before them. The Gérard Perregaux casquette comes into mind. I hated it then. I hate it now. Forget about it. The Frederic Constant is quite interesting. It's a collaboration with the quirky designer Second Second, and it kind of emphasizes, in a way, this idea that, you know, the manufacture process is done by hand at Frederic Constant, which is a great sentiment. Not sure how much of anything is done by hand at that price point, but obviously, you know, it's not some sort of great maker supercomputer that spits these things out. Obviously, in the assembly of watches, there's always a human hand involved, thankfully for some time to come. But I actually like the functions of this watch, even though I don't really like the font that is used on the dial, nor the quirky placements of the markers, but the pointer date that wraps around the moon phase indicator is a fantastic design. Longines makes great pieces that embody, that exhibit the same complication. So the general idea of the piece, I think, is great, but with a lot of what Second Second does, it is either hit or a miss, depending on your own sense of aesthetics, I guess your ability to have fun. I don't really have much fun in my life, so I will have to say no to this one. Apparently it's a 100-piece limited series, and the price point is actually 3,300 Swiss francs. So another watch that I really like, this is the Kudoke 3, which also in an important sense has a unique display of time. Kudoke, of course, Stefan Kudoke himself worked at Glashütte Original and was actually integral to the development of their chronograph piece that used a similar display. But here, that sort of scale-like display is brought into quite a different function. Where you have a centrally deployed minute hand, and then you have a triple-armed hour hand, right? Think of it like the triple-armed seconds hand that Daniel Roth has on his tourbillon pieces that show each 20-second interval on a different slice of a fan-like scale. This is exactly that, right? And the two hands that peek out onto that top half or top second, sorry, top third of the dial will show the hour. You have a centrally deployed minute hand that is beautifully twisted. The infinity sign, of course, that is quite nicely and certainly not excessively used in this watch, appears a few times. It is the symbol of the Handwerk collection, the German word for handwork. It's at the tip of the minute hand, or rather as a counterweight, and also it is printed on the minute ring at 60 or 0. And the lower half of the dial has this beautiful salmon tone, which I really like. And even if the movement has a very phallic appearance, it is also absolutely beautiful with a frosted finish that is a nod to classical watchmaking and a free hand engraved balanced cock. And again, the aesthetics of the movement in its appearance gives an entirely different meaning to the word balanced cock as well. And this piece is right under 10,000 in Swiss francs, 9,900 specifically, 39 millimeters, a little thicker than 10 millimeters. Beautiful, beautiful piece, the Kudoke 3 Salmon. It's one of my favorite watches in the challenge category. My second favorite piece, the Black Bay 58 GMT. I don't really need to belabor it. You know what it is. You know what a GMT watch is. And you already know the Tudor Black Bay series quite nicely. This is a piece that's, I think, around 4,800 in Swiss francs, right under 5,000. Tudor's Black Bay series, of course, take that vintage aesthetic of a lot of iconic creations by Tudor and, of course, by their big brother Rolex, and offers it in a slightly different, usually thicker and more kind of patinated appearance. So that's Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT for you. It doesn't, as with a lot of recent releases from Tudor, it doesn't really excite one much, but it is a very useful and great everyday watch, I'm sure. Christian van der Klauw, Ariadne is, again, another interesting piece here that is that combines a chronograph with a moon phase indicator. Christian van der Klauw, a lot of times, is very famous for their more astronomic complications, like a planetarium on the dial of a watch. But this is a full calendar chrono with a 24-hour indication as well as a moon phase. It is rendered in stainless steel, which allows it an entry into this category because the price point is right around 9,500 in Swiss francs. Pardon me. And there is apparently a hand engraved detail by one of my favorites, artists of guilloche engine turning as well, Jochen Benzinger, on the rotor, of which we don't really have a sight. in the photographs provided here. It's a 40 millimeter piece, 14 millimeters in thickness, in stainless steel, and right around 9,500 once again. Please hit the like button, by the way. We are going through the nominees, the official nominees, the final 6 nominees in each category for the GPHG, of which the ceremony is coming tomorrow. I already talked about my favorites in the ladies category and in the challenge category. Now we are in the Petite Aiguille, which again is an affordable watches category, this time right under 10,000 in Swiss francs. My second favorite there was the Kudoke. My first favorite, which I think is going to win, is Fola Marie's Perpetual 1, their project of offering perpetual calendar at an affordable price point. And this is a piece that is a great design and that is also offered at a great price point, right under 10,000, again 9,950 in Swiss francs, built on the base of a Swiss La Joux-Perret movement, with an engraved 18 karat pink gold oscillating weight in this particular instance. The black dial has smoked sapphire parts that give a peek into the hand-finished parts of the movement. This version is in a stainless steel case. You guys might remember they had actually a beautiful version of this in the OmniWatch auction, which was a secular perpetual calendar made, actually rendered in sterling silver with a matching bracelet that sold for 130,000. It had all these blue details. The piece was designed by Dominique Renaud and Julien Tixier in that case. And this piece is a much more affordable rendering of that. The smoked sapphire detail of the movement and the open worked subdials that at 9 indicate the days and at 3 the date is brilliant. I think it's a great and readable display with an additional hand that shows the month on the periphery of the dial with a red tip. And you have this single slide button there at 6 o'clock that allows you to correct, that allows you to advance all the functions in a synchronized manner, a peripheral ring, so to speak. So there are no other pushers or anything of the sort on the case, which makes the use of this piece very practical. Again, this module was developed by Dominique Renaud of the Renaud à Papy fame and Julien Tixier for Fola Marie, and has a very simplified structure of 21 components. Beautiful piece, very wearable, 39 millimeters in diameter and only 11.3 in thickness. Thank you, Chalk Flew Up. We have five more pieces. I also love the appearance of salmon against the steel, against any kind of white metal, to be honest. Chalk Flew Up. I really, really like that piece. We have 5 minutes to go with and we need another 5 super chats of $5 or more to reach our goal if we are going to go until midnight. Otherwise, I'm probably going to close at around 10. So if you want the watch talk to continue, feel free to make a super chat of your own or encourage others. We just finished the Petite Aiguille category. My absolute favorite, and the watch I believe is actually going to win, is the For La Marie Perpetual 1, but I like the Kudoke 3 with the salmon as well. A salmon dial against white metal is always a personal favorite for me, and here it looks beautiful against stainless steel. So let's look at the artistic crafts. I will start with one of my favorites. This is the Chopard LUC Quattro Spirits 25 Year of the Dragon. This was this is a piece with quadruple barrels. I've talked about this many times, about the complication, about the jump hour complication, and how power hungry it can be. Chopard's quadruple barrel system for this particular watch provides a full 8-day power reserve. They always have beautiful gold dials. In this case, because of the Year of the Dragon, it has a arts et métiers type, artistic craft type dial that actually has a beautiful decoration of a dragon. 8-piece limited series, 86,000 franc a piece, crafted in 18 karat pink gold, including the hand engraved dragon motif. That is also a gold dial. The Quattro Spirit 25 jump hour model was introduced to celebrate the Chopard's independent manufacture on its 25th anniversary. These are great jump hour pieces. And this is a very, very special version of it indeed. As with some of the best that LUC Chopard or LU Chopard has to offer, this is a movement, pardon me, and case that actually carries the seal of the Canton of Geneva. That testifies, of course, to a certain quality of finishing, assembly, and regulation. The 8-day power reserve indicator is embedded on the movement that is visible through the sapphire case back. Beautiful piece in the artistic crafts category. My personal favorite here is the Anderson Genev jump hour. Again, it was a piece that we saw on yesterday's live stream with Jason. He has one that has a stunning pink gold dial with their unique lozenge pattern guilloche decoration. This is one that has a stone dial, a black jade dial specifically. The subdial is for the minutes and has those pink gold accents which are carried over to the signature that wraps itself around the traditional 12 o'clock position over the aperture for the jump hour. Beautiful case with kind of shouldered lugs. that is 38 millimeters in diameter, in platinum with a pink gold crown. The piece is only 9.2 millimeters in thickness. Of course, the movement itself has some beautiful hand-finished details as well, including very nicely decorated full pink gold rotor, contributing to that interplay between the white metal and pink metal or pink details of the face of the watch. And the movement itself is framed with a gold ring that carries the brand's signature, a blued gold ring, and of course, the number of the watch in the series. This is the Anderson Genev Jump Hour Black Jade Stone, the Art and Culture limited edition of 50 pieces, priced at 52,800 in Swiss francs. By the way, the goal ended for the super chats, so I will try to go until 10. So let's set another goal for 45 minutes. If another 5 super chats come until then, I will continue with Watch Talk until midnight. So in the next 45 minutes, if another 5 super chats come, I will continue until midnight, but I'm here for the next 45 minutes. Please hit the like button. That doesn't cost anything. But if you would like to draw my attention to any of these nominated timepieces that I haven't talked or that you would like me to talk more about, the link is there. The link to the panel is pinned. So if you want to come and join me in this discussion, absolutely feel free. I also want to look at the Arso Chorus Stellarum, the Arso case with its asymmetric lugs, kind of an equestrian theme that Hermes follows throughout in their case shapes, in the decoration of their watches as well. Here, of course, it's taken to a new level. Beautiful engraved and painted details on the dial that make it truly belong to this genre. Again, I love the asymmetric shape of the lugs that take after stirrups. Apparently, the design of the piece, the design of the dial, was inspired by a silk scarf designed by Daisuke Nomura. Daisuke Nomura. It's a silk scarf made for Hermes that is decorated with dashing skeleton riders. That's what you see on the dial. And apparently there's a pusher at 9 o'clock that activates this rider. So there's like an on-demand animation on the dial itself. This Arso piece that is rendered in white gold with this very unique mechanical kind of animated dial is priced at 147,000 Swiss francs. Here's another detail of that dial, and you see the 9 o'clock pusher. And this is a piece powered by that base automatic movement H1837. That's Hermes's founding year. That is made for them at the Vaucher manufacturer in Fleurier, which I hope will be bought by Hermes, because they make a lot of interesting watches. They have started finally taking off in the watches category. If we talked about this before, part of the ecosystem, the watchmaking ecosystem in Fleurier, that is driven by the Sandoz Family Foundation, is up for sale. And that includes Parmigiani Fleurier, the brands, the Vaucher manufacturer, and of course some other parts of that ecosystem which allow everything to be made there, from movement parts to cases, to leather straps, to movements as a whole entirely. So I hope they will be able to buy it, so they can continue with unique creations like these, but also simpler watches like the Hermes Cat and the HO8 without interruption. I won't really go into the Louis Vuitton, Piaget, and Van Cleef & Arpels watches in this category. My favorite is the Anderson Genev Jumping Hours Black Jade Stone. I think either Chopard or Hermes might actually win this category, depending on how things shake out in other categories. I'm going to talk about sports watches again. Hopefully we'll have enough time, especially with your further support and more super chats, at least 5 super chats of at least $5 amounts in the next 40 minutes. That might be possible. I hope we will cover everything. We'll look at each category. But before we get carried away, I just want to cover as much as I can. I always had a hard time with categories in this award show. They keep switching them up, and it never quite maps onto anything. No longer is there a divers category. So now there's sports and chronograph, and the sports category has a lot of chronographs. So it's, I don't know what they're trying to do there. The Singer Reimagined dive track is kind of their unique design language, reimagined as a diver chronograph. It has a 24-hour central chronograph. Obviously at the center. The aesthetic is very much a diver's watch with a black dial that ensures legibility overall, but certainly on underwater. Under the rotating bezel, the discrete Singer signature ceramic link, illuminated with luminescent figures and indices, subtly reveals the time, and the 12-hour disc provides an unobtrusive yet clear indication of time as it progresses. Again, as much as I am a fan of original designs, I also want some readability. And if I need to be taught how to read a watch, for me, that's a clear failure in design. But I kind of like the case shape, I guess, with the pierced details. with that guard for the pusher. The bezel itself, the rotational bezel, I like that too, but not much else. This piece is also right around 92,000 in Swiss francs. Single watches are not really my favorites. By the way, John C., I did the automatic ban. I can remove it. I just don't want anyone to talk about, especially obsessively talk about other people on this channel. So I'll unban you and just time you out for 5 minutes. I would really appreciate if you don't, I don't know, if you don't propagate rumors, insults about other people, about entire groups of people in the chat. That would be much appreciated. That's not the vibe of this channel. It will never be. If you want to involve yourself in drama and talk shit about other people and even insult entire races, you know, there are so many channels in this universe. I think Tim Wright channel would be great for you. So migrate over there. You have my absolute permission to rot in places like that for the rest of your life. Thank you and goodbye. My favorites here is actually the IWC chronograph. This is kind of the team watch of the Mercedes AMG Petronas Formula One team. They previously had a team watch that perhaps more markedly carried that unique Petronas color on its strap. Especially this one reduces it to quite fine details on the dial, including the seconds track, the continuously moving second hand also at 6 o'clock, as well as the day date indicator at 3 o'clock. You guys know, even though IWC tries to pass these off as manufacturer movements, the movement in its entirety is borrowing the architecture of the classic Vajou movements. Of course, there are improvements in this case that pass the muster. Especially in the integration of a column wheel as well. This particular piece is rendered in their unique alloy of ceramic and titanium, which to me is the most interesting aspect of this watch. And it is, for a ceramic watch, if that's a category you have been chasing, and if you're already a fan of IWC's Pilot's chronographs, I think it's a worthy addition to their line. It's priced at 13,400 in Swiss francs, which is not cheap by any means. But if you are an IWC Pilot's chronograph fan, and if you are overall a fan of Formula One, and especially of the Mercedes team, Mercedes AMG Petronas team, you might find a lot of interesting value in this watch. Ceramic case, rubber strap, very sporty. I think it's a worthy entry to this category. You guys know I'm not a huge fan of Ming watches, but this particular one, the 3709 Bluefin, which is kind of their take, I believe, on the diver watch. There's an internal rotational bezel, .600 meters of water resistance, a very compact 38 millimeter case that's under 13 millimeters thick, and with a domed crystal for a sports watch that's not too thick at all. If you like the visual signature, if you like the visual aesthetic of Ming watches, this can be a very interesting proposition for you. Stainless steel case with a rubber band that fits very nicely, snugly, aesthetically to the case, which is one of the appealing aspects of Ming's pieces. And of course, lots of lume as well, which belongs to the visual signature of a dive watch, certainly in dark, but also a lot of Ming's designs as well. So this is actually a Ming watch that I like. Let history record this moment. It's also priced right under 5,000 in Swiss francs, so not too bad. And again, I like the way that the molded rubber strap fits really nicely with the curved lug bars as well. I like it. I like it. The Zenith Defy Extreme Diver, I think I will pass. The Tudor Pelagos FXT Chrono, the cycling edition, I think is another interesting piece, which might actually win. This is one that kind of flew under the radar for a while, but for its carbon case with the fixed lugs, it certainly offers something new and something different among chronographs. I like the blackened aesthetic overall, and this one also has very nice red details. Not a bad combination overall. Again, not a huge fan of date windows, but of all the possible places, especially in this sort of balanced two-register chronograph design, 6 o'clock is, the best of all worlds. The case is a little on the bigger side and is certainly not thin, which is a lot of times the drawback with a lot of Tudor's pieces. But when it comes to a chronograph, the proportions are not far at all from the industry golden standards. In fact, they fit very neatly in that space. So this piece can, I think, please a lot of fans of Tudor, and certainly a lot of fans that like a blackout or nearly blackout aesthetic, or for those who like material experimentation because of the carbon case in this particular instance. And the watch is, again, right under $5,000, sorry, 5,000 in Swiss francs. And it is also cost certified. So it is chronometer certified as well. Tonda PF Sport Chronograph, probably one of my least favorite models in the renewed Parmigiani Fleurier lines. I love the Tonda GT. I think it was a better design. A god-awful date window there that doesn't fit or mesh with anything at all. Again, probably the creation of a marketing department more than a design department. It's not even exactly at 430. Its shape, its cut doesn't really align with anything else on the dial. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. The color scheme I kind of like. Slate gray, blue in the minutes, seconds track, as well as the chronograph registers, going along with kind of a silvered opaline dial with a very nice motif as well. The strap itself has that, textured feel or aesthetic or look. I think it is actually a rubber strap as well. Kind of cool, but I think overall it's a little too expensive for a stainless steel chronograph at 28,000 Swiss francs. Again, I like a lot of things. That date window and the price point, I think, kind of ruins it for me. Yes, it is a high frequency chronograph. It has a nice movement. Not sure if it has anything else that justifies the price point, and I think the dial design itself leaves a lot to be desired, especially since it replaces something that was much more original and pleasant with Tonda GT. But I suppose they wanted to streamline everything and make everything much more similar to the Tonda PF, and that's what they came up with. So for the chronograph category, my favorite is the IWC piece, although I believe Tudor can win. I'm sorry, this is the sports category. But a lot of it is chronographs, as we have just seen, a mix of chronographs and divers. In fact, one wonders why they don't just have a sports category that has a dozen finalists. But I guess they want to kind of divide the awards towards some of their favorites, so they don't miss out on all those special trips, all expenses paid, trips by some of their favorite brands. This is how the industry is run, boys. It's so sad, but also quite true. Coming back to the chronograph category, I have to say the Louis Vuitton Recep Recepi collaboration is certainly technically impressive, but it belongs to such a rarefied and exclusive category. I'm not sure how to place it in within the confines of an industry award show. Perhaps it would belong more squarely into the complications category. It is, after all, a watch that costs $500,000 and is only made in 10 pieces. There's a lot of unique things with it, also in the way that it combines a chronograph function with a chiming watch, a double-faced chronograph. At that, the case is designed by Jean-Pierre Agman, who is famous previously with making a lot of beautiful and clear-sounding chiming watch cases for Patek Philippe, but he has done a lot for Recep Recepi as well. And at this point, serves as the in-house case maker for him. The chronometre contemporain cases were made by him as well. The piece comes in a traditional Louis Vuitton trunk, has a logo that combines the logos of the two brands. But again, such a rarefied piece, not sure how I can consider it as part of this chronograph category, even though it has a lot of interesting pieces. I've always liked Zenith's combination of triple calendar with a chronograph. Again, the layout is perhaps not the perfect one, but some of the neo-vintage examples of this watch represent some of the best deals on the secondary market. I'm so glad they revived it. I'm so glad they have it in the catalog again. The price point is not scary. In fact, in today's market, in today's retail market, seems even reasonable at right around 13,000 Swiss francs. But again, this is not my favorite here. I think my personal favorite in terms of really an aesthetic choice more than anything is the Parmigiani Fleurier Toric Rattrapante, the split seconds chronograph by Parmigiani Fleurier. This belongs to the revival of the new Toric, beautifully designed movement by Michel Parmigiani, the PF 361 movement that has been previously used in other limited edition split seconds chronographs of Parmigiani Fleurier. Both of the column wheels rather, are exposed. So when you're looking at the movement and engage the chronograph in various ways, you'll see its full operations, also thanks to the open worked bridges. And the piece also, the movement, I should say, also carries the signature of Michel Parmigiani as well. High frequency, high beat chronograph movement that beats at 5 hertz, 36,000 semi-oscillations per hour. Entirely crafted in 18 karat pink gold, including the movement, part of a 30-piece limited series. The dials are beautiful as well, also in gold and hand-grained. Those parts of the dial that you see that are gold are actually brought out of that dial base. They are not metal frames. And again, there's that beautiful fine fluting on the bezel that harkens back to earlier designs of the toric case that take inspiration from ancient Greek architecture. And here you see the two centrally deployed chronograph seconds hands that are rendered in pink gold and also rhodium plated white gold as well. So they can be easily told apart. That's a piece that costs around 135,000 Swiss francs. a 30 unit limited series. That's my personal favorite in the chronographs category. Another personal favorite that I think will actually win is the Tag Heuer Monaco Rattrapante, the split-second chronograph version of the Monaco, a piece that both surprised me when I first saw it in the Only Watch edition, which essentially sold for cheaper than the retail pricing, which should have taught, or which should teach, at least in the future, a lesson to Tag. But the split-second design makes absolute sense. Obviously, when Tag Heuer first came out with this rectangular, waterproof, self-winding chronograph, they switched the crown to 9 o'clock, right? Just to make a point about, oh, you don't have to wind this watch by the crown as long as you wear it on your wrist. Well, now you have the split-second pusher at 9 o'clock, which carries that aesthetic and complements it with a crown at 3 o'clock, the traditional 3 o'clock. The open-work aesthetic that Tag Heuer actually has in the Monaco range at a relatively affordable price point is here given full force with those suspended bridges that seem to hold the chronograph registers, which are otherwise seemingly floating. The piece is crafted in grade 5 titanium. I believe the bridges themselves are also rendered in titanium. Beautiful look that has that black industrial with glimpses of red. A checkered detail on the bridges of the movement on the back as well. Visible column wheels through that sapphire caseback. Beautiful 3D display of the movement on the back. Again, a great idea. The movement was designed by the veteran, expert, master watchmaker, Carole Forestier-Cassapi, who has given a lot to watchmaking through Cartier and more recently with Tag Heuer. And it builds on the base of a movement that is provided to Tag Heuer by VMF, Vaucher Manufacture Fleurier. Great piece, again, barring its delusional pricing at 135,000 Swiss francs for a titanium piece. Even with the skeletonized appearance and the unique sapphire caseback, I'm not sure how one can stomach this, but this is a high beat split-second chronograph, so it certainly deserves at least some horological attention and respect when it comes to the work that was taken on by a brand that, after all, calls itself Tag, right? Technique d'avant-garde. So it has to be on the avant-garde, so to speak, right? That is the Monaco split-second chronograph that I think, and in a way hope, will win the award for the best chronograph in this ceremony, even though I also like the Parmigiani Fleurier Toric split-second chronograph. Thank you to everyone who is watching. Once again, I appreciate your presence and your support that can come in so many forms. Hitting the like button is absolutely free. Super chats, memberships, super stickers, etc. Those are great. And if I get in the next 11 minutes, 5 more super chats of $5 or more, I will go until midnight. If not, that's okay. I'll unplug in the next 10 minutes or so. The mechanical exception, my personal favorite is actually the Beauvais Recital 28 Prowess 1. I really like this piece. I know Beauvais is not everyone's cup of tea. They're a little out there in terms of their designs that take after kind of a conversion pocket watch aesthetic. They're also always quite interesting in terms of the complications and the presentation of complications they use. This watch is completely out there. Its price tag is absurd at more than $700,000, part of a 60-piece limited series, but it is a world time watch that has solved the daylight savings time issue, so that deserves some credit in terms of pure watchmaking, certainly. And the breakthrough was in deciding to use rollers instead of a conventional display, which is something you see here. And the 24 city rollers are printed on 4 sides, and the time period roller is printed with the 4 different periods: UTC, American Summertime, Europe, and Europe, American Summertime, Europe and American Summertime, and Europe Wintertime. Yeah, and when you press the sapphire cabochon on the crown, all 25 rollers turn 90 degrees at the same time, and all the cities align with the correct time zone. 10-day power reserve from a single barrel, which is incredible. The piece also has a perpetual calendar and a flying tourbillon. It is available in 18-karat pink golds, platinum, and grade 5 titanium. This particular example that you are looking at right now is crafted from titanium. The flying tourbillon is at 12 o'clock, and the elements of the day and date and day of the week are represented also using roller-like displays. So is the leap year. Not the most legible calendar display, but for everything else, it is quite interesting and innovative. This is the Beauvais 1822 Recital 28 Prowess 1. I think it is well worthy of an award in the mechanical exception category. I also like the Bulgari Octo Finissimo Ultra, which at one point held the thinnest watch the honor of being the thinnest watch. Patek Chris says, hey, Goldfinger, it's nice to see you. Patek Chris says he's still so fond of Carole Forestier-Casapi's work with Cartier. So am I. Theodore Chow says the Parmigiani is pretty, but doesn't seem very new. I think that must be about the chronograph. Coming back to the mechanical exception category, the Octofinissimo Ultra, that is cost certified, that is chronometer certified. At one point, it held the honor of being the thinnest watch in the world, which was claimed by some other brands, perhaps most famously by the Richard Mille Ferrari watch, which was a little bit dubious in my case because it is key wound. And today, I think Chaikin's watch also, and a watch that is also key wound, has claimed this award once again from Bulgari. As much as I have respect for either one of those makers, I think it's a little suspicious to have a key wound watch in this particular category. But this is a great piece with a thickness right around 1.7 millimeters, cost certified, a real piece, certainly quite expensive at $500,000 in Swiss francs, but it is a piece that carries everything that distinguishes the Octofinissimo series, which are architectural but finely crafted and ultra-thin watches to its absurd but also ultimate extent. Sandblasted titanium case, tungsten carbide main plates, open work dial, regulator display for the hours and minutes, very monochromatic appearance thanks to the gray PVD treatment, limited edition of 20 pieces. Again, potentially a winner in this category as well. That was a mechanical exception category. My favorites is Beauvais Recital 28 Prowess 1 with the Bulgari Octofinissimo also potentially a winner. Calendar and astronomy. My favorite from an aesthetic standpoint is the Laurent Ferrier Classic Moon Silver. This is again a very almost conservative piece that's shape that is almost organically given form in Laurent Ferrier's aspiration. This is actually an annual calendar by Laurent Ferrier with the addition of the moon phase at 6 o'clock, which actually shows you the phases of the moon in both hemispheres in a 40 millimeter 18 karat pink gold case. Because of that smooth design that takes the pebble as their form inspiration, it actually sits on the wrist much like a 38 millimeter than anything. It's a very comfortable, great wearing watch. And the dial design itself is signature Ferrier, of an off-white parchment-like color, beautiful fonts, great details, a red arrow pointing the date on the periphery of the dial, the two moon phases for each hemisphere, northern and southern, and two finely opened apertures above the signature at 12 o'clock for the day of the week and the month. Beautiful piece priced at around 86,000 in Swiss francs. Power reserve indicator on the back. Hand wound movements. That's my favorite, Laurent Ferrier Classic Moon Silver in the calendar and astronomy category. Although I think IWC's Eternal Calendar, their version of the secular Perpetual Calendar, will win, and perhaps rightly so, because this is, and a secular Perpetual Calendar is a version of the Perpetual Calendar that actually accounts for those non-leap years. So it is mechanically programmed to consider those exceptions for centurial years, which should be leap years, but they're not. So this newly engineered 400-year gear, which completes just one revolution every 4 centuries, will allow the calendar to skip 3 leap years over 400 years, which means that the eternal calendar will, theoretically at least, calculate leap year correctly until at least 3,999. Because no official decision has yet been taken whether 4,000 will be a leap year, and that is certainly a decision that we can safely leave to later generations. The moon phase display also takes a similar approach, and it's called an eternal moon phase. Which will theoretically only need an adjustment after 45 million years. The watch has a power reserve of an entire week of 7 days from its 2 barrels. Also shows the moon phase in the northern and southern hemisphere. Beautiful piece, I think great design as well. The Portuguese Eternal Calendar by IWC Schaffhausen, priced at $150,000, building on the module that was invented by Kurt Klaus, who has recently celebrated his 90th birthday. So a great tribute to him as well. This platinum piece, a Portuguese Eternal Calendar that's priced at 150,000 in Swiss francs. All right, we're running short on time. I have maybe 10 more minutes. So if you want to contribute, this is your chance. I'm going to wrap the show up at around 10:15, 10:20. If you have any questions, any requests, feel free to address them now. I do want to cover at least time-only men's Man's Complication and Iconic. So I will go really fast. My favorite for the tourbillon, personally, from an aesthetic standpoint, I think I would go with the Voutilainen tourbillon 20th anniversary. I love that case shape, which is actually much more conventional for a Voutilainen piece. I love all the different guilloche motifs used in the dial, and that slightly off-center feel that is held by an upward-facing crescent. I love those modified, stylized Breguet numerals, the off-center seconds, power reserve indicator, the beak hands, as I like to call them, although it is really Cari's own interpretation of the observatory hands. And of course, this beautifully finished and detailed movement that, again, with its frosted finish, is a tip of the hat to classical watchmaking, and a great frame too, with its internal angles and all for the tourbillon. That's my personal favorite. But I think certainly there's so many other great contenders in this category, including Chopard's LUC 1860 Flying Tourbillon in a yellow gold case, a beautiful guilloche center, the Rémy Cole's Tourbillon Atelier, Sartori Billard, La Nuit, H. Moser et Company, the Streamliner Skeletonized Tourbillon, of course, Daniel Roth subscription series, which again is a good revival, but I much prefer the originals, so I'm not going to necessarily foreground that. My favorite is the 20th anniversary tourbillon by Voutilainen. The iconic category, I think the Cosmonauts, actually, the 24-hour display version of the Navi timer that was first commissioned by the Scott Carpenter when he was going to a space mission. It looks very cool in person. I have actually seen these watches at the New York Watches of Swaziland exhibition. Unfortunately, they were all on watch stands, so you couldn't really fool around, really examine and take a close look at the watches. But anyway, even through that exposure, it looked great. I love it aesthetically. The Hublot doesn't appeal to me at all. I've never been a big fan of big pilot watches, pardon me, and I think the tourbillon that looks like a turbine or whatever that is supposed to look like, a propeller, that's not it. The Louis Vuitton tambour, yeah, it's an old design, but to call it iconic is a huge stretch. I know LVMH has a lot of money. I know Louis Vuitton is a very storied brand, and I know there would be a lot of people in the jury who would want to please the Arnold family. But it's a watch that shouldn't even be a finalist, to be honest. So let's pass that. The Piaget Polo, I think, is a great design. Again, something that used to be a great bargain, a great find, a great revelation on the secondary market and the vintage market. I like its revival, but the pricing is absolutely delusional. No matter how cute all the sales associates are at Piaget. I cannot imagine they can sell a watch like this at around $70,000. I think the price, including tax, here is 68,500 in Swiss francs. Absolutely delusional. The design is great. Anyway, my favorite here is the Uhrwerk UR102 Reloaded. I think it's a great design. It has everything about the DNA of the brand. It's kind of their entry-level watch, their gateway drug to the Uhrwerk extended universe, so to speak. I really like it. It's a 25-piece limited series in titanium that revives one of the beginnings of the brand in UR or UR102. I really like it. I think it's a great looking watch. It's a great design, and I think its return in a limited series was a great idea. I think it should always remain as part of their catalog. Not sure if I have a say about that, but it is a great gateway drug into that universe, so to speak, at around 30,000 Swiss francs. Fantastic watch if you like, again, something that is on the more unconventional side of time telling, but certainly it is actually quite definitive by now for the brand at least, and quite popular in the takes of other brands too. So that's my favorite, the UR102 Reloaded by Uhrwerk. That is my favorite in the iconic category, much worthier than something like a Louis Vuitton tambour for that overused adjective, and certainly very original, very deserving of this award, even though I also like the Breitling Cosmonaut there with its green dial and pink gold for aesthetic reasons, if not anything else, and the Piaget Polo for its design, but certainly not at delusional price point. Men's complication, for me, this is an easy choice. De Béthune DB, kind of Grand Complication. I have been a huge fan of this case design, always with the pierced lugs, with the floating lug, also with the pierced lugs that have the ogival ends, the kind of like bullet-like points there where it takes the spring bar. The floating lugs, right, that help the case sit as closely as possible to your wrist. So what is a 43 millimeter watch on paper, actually rendered in titanium and with this floating lugs design, becomes suddenly much more wearable, even on a skimpy wrist like mine. The piece is also, with all its complication, is not too thick, 13.85. And as you can see, it's part of their kind of two series, which means it's a two-faced watch that can be worn in both ways. And it has all sorts of complications that includes a perpetual calendar, moon phase indicator, power reserve indicator, jumping seconds, and the tourbillon. Of course, their signature spherical moon phase, the starry sky as the dial on one side, and an open work display that perhaps gives the full glory not only to the display of the movements, but also to the tourbillon as well. Priced at 400,000. Of course, it's not in the reach of most of us collectors, but it's certainly a great display of everything that De Bethune has to offer. Maybe a sleeper in this category might be the Kazuo Maeda Heure Universelle, this world time watch that is both kind of a revival in its inspiration from the classic Patek 1415, but also with unique aesthetic details down to the choice of the fonts, which I am not really in love with, but this is an interesting piece and much more affordable than a lot of the other watches in this category, at around 25,000 in Swiss francs, with a tantalum tungsten alloy case. I don't love the aesthetic, but I always take interest in these kinds of independent makers, which, you know, take something from horological history and make it their own. So this sort of inspiration that is taken from classic Louis Cotier design, combining that with Art Deco design details as well, with an Art Deco aesthetic, is not entirely unwelcome. So the Kazuo Maeda Heure Universelle could also be an interesting entry in the men's complication category. Always always a fan of the chiming or striking watches by Chopard, even though in that series the Strike One is probably my least favorite, but aesthetically that's also a beautiful watch, both in terms of that petrol blue dial with a honeycomb guilloche at the center. White gold, beautiful watch. I don't think it will win. In the men's category, and we will end with time only, since there are no other contributions either, or no other questions. For the men's piece, as much as I like the new Toric, the platinum version is amazing. I wish it had a movement rendered, let's say, in white gold to fit the white metal subtle aesthetic of the case and the dial. Again, the hand-grained dials are marvelous in person, and they are crafted here in 18 karat gold, in 18 karat pink gold in the pink gold version. Beautiful platinum case with all the weight and otherwise symbolic gravity that the metal gives to it. Beautiful piece at 52,000 Swiss francs. It's a little bit saltier price-wise, but still a great watch. But for me, in that men's category, the piece to pick is really, once again, the Voutilainen KV20i reversed. which again gives full glory to that beautifully finished movement with an oversized balance wheel that beats at a mere 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour, which is 2.5 hertz, and you have it at around 12 o'clock, which really puts that finely tuned, organically beating of time at the center of the watch. The movement is both very austerely, but also beautifully finished, with that frosted look that is both a throwback, but also quite industrial looking in these tones, let's say. The bridge of the balance wheel, of course, again, is one of the highlights of this watch. Also a testament to the kind of hand finishing that sets apart a lot of the best independent watchmakers in this time. And again, this is a reverse mechanism. The main plate and the bridges are made from German silver, decorated by hand, beautiful surface finish. All the screws and the steel parts of the movement are also finished and polished by hand. That stunning 39 millimeter case with teardrop lugs, because they do, after all, bring tears to your eyes in their beauty. Fantastic pieces, those observatory style hands that consists of white gold stems and tips, but also with those steel heat blued parts. The Voutilainen KV20i reversed is a marvel and is my absolute favorite. The list price is 135,000 if you can get it, if you can get an allocation. And finally, in the time only category, I think all these watches are quite beautiful and have something to offer. I love the excessiveness, in a way, of Bernhard Lederer, because in its appearance, again, it's just another time-only watch with an off-center, oversized subdial for the seconds. Very German-looking in a way, kind of testifies to the national origins of its maker, but its excessiveness lies in a certain subtlety, because it is certified for its chronometric precision by 3 different observatories at once. I don't think anyone has done this before, and those 3 observatories are the French one in Besançon, the Observatoire Chronométrique in Geneva, Switzerland, and the observatory in Glashütte, Germany. Amazing piece for this central impulse chronometer by Bernhard Lederer, which has a remontoir d'égalité. The movement of the minute hand follows the rhythm of that remontoir every 10 seconds, displayed on a unique scale divided into 6 steps. A tiny pointer at the middle of the minute hand guides the reading of these 10-second intervals, perfectly synchronized with the remontoir's rhythm. The dial again is very austere. And it is crafted out of solid silver. Fantastic piece. Everything is in-house manufactured by the independent maker in Saint Blaise, Switzerland. Amazing, amazing piece. That's my favorite in the time only. Though I believe the Berneron piece is going to win. The Mirage Sienna. Here in yellow gold, with those burgundy details and its unique movements. I'm not a big fan of misshapen watches, including the Crash, but the Berneron, for its original design that takes the theoretical principle and does something with it, has mesmerized and also seduced many collectors, and I'm sure it's going to be given its due credits in the awards ceremony tomorrow. The pieces sell for around 70,000 Swiss francs. I fully blame Ronnie Madhvani for the over-popularization of these sorts of design watches, and he certainly likes the Berneron. Not really buying a lot of contemporary watches, as you know. I'll drop a link to his Instagram account before I log off, so you can see some of his stunning collection, which actually includes also Berneron piece. Maldives, I just received your message about Lange. Maybe that's something we can talk about in the next live stream. It is a brand, as you know, that is very dear to me. So its future direction is certainly of interest to me. Here's a link to Ronnie's Instagram. Again, I really appreciate your support and presence. Thank you for your super chats, super stickers, all your contributions in the chats. Maldives, Sean, Ryan Hoffrey, Sean again, Basil, and Chalk flew up. Thank you. I love you all. Again, sharing the link with other collectors and enthusiasts are really important. I just want to pass 2.5 at this point. So share it with everyone you know. Help me reach 2,500 subscribers soon, maybe before the end of the week. That would make me extremely happy. If nothing else, please hit the like on this live stream. I appreciate all your contributions. If you want to gain access to some exclusive content, you can always get a membership or gift memberships as a way of introducing other people to the channel, and also contributing to the channel, to the sustainability of this channel, because once again, this is one of those rare platforms that are fully independent, that cover as much as possible of the industry without any sort of bias. I'm not funded by any of the shady gray market dealers. I'm not a plant by the industry. I'm equidistant to all the brands. except those that I personally like and collect or aspire to collect. And I do everything for you, and that means I'm also enabled, and I barely survive by your contributions, so they are very, very important. So please keep them coming. In either case, I appreciate you all. I think I will have a live stream tomorrow as well. I don't know what time I will start, but hopefully earlier than today. And maybe, again, with your encouragement, I might even go longer than today and perhaps longer than ever. Who knows? As long as we hit those super chat goals, the sky is the limit. So I really, really do appreciate. Today we have covered the GPHG in terms of a preview. Maybe tomorrow, after the winners are announced, we might do a quick overview and talk about some of my general misgivings, as it were, about the competition. Some of my healthy skepticism, perhaps, that I hope you will share, at least in some part. And that goes for any industry award ceremony, I think. But we will get back to that tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, wear and enjoy your watches. Please, if nothing else, leave a comment below if once the stream is ended. The likes and comments really help bring this stream to new viewers, to people who are outside of the fold. And if you share the link with people you know, with other enthusiasts and collectors who are not yet part of this community that is built around passion for and knowledge of wristwatches, that would be much appreciated. Follow me on Instagram as well, @young.brando, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Take care.